Welcome to Rettle's Pub, where we talk about the spirits while partaking of spirits. Here are your hosts, Nate and Mason.
I show it to Trace. I'm like, oh, look at this. He goes, oh, I know where that's at. That's Dodge City. And I looked at my phone. I was making sure that Dodge City wasn't anywhere on it. You know, I was like, how do you know that? He's like, because I've been there. I walked right down that road before. And I was like, but you've never been there. He's like, no, I've been there. I can tell you what's around the next corner. And so, you know, your soul recognizes that. Again, is that significant? Probably not. But it's a place that, or a person, that your soul goes, oh, wait a minute. Hey, I know that. I recognize that. And there's almost like an excitement. Did you feel excitement?
It's a weird,
in your chest a little bit?
Thing. It was something, and this has only happened in the last few months. You know, it was a weird deal because I've never met anybody that I'm like, I've met people that I get along with really well right off the bat. But this was like a more intense feeling with this guy. You know, it was like, I know this guy. I have no clue where I know him from.
Yeah.
I've never met him because he's never been to the U.S. and I've never been to Scotland. But I know this guy.
Yeah. And so you've met a version of him at some point in the past.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And your soul goes...
What I really like about all this, the conversation, is the fact that, you know, you're so much in a box the way we were grown, we were raised. You know, you're such the UPC, and that's all there is. Now I'm out of that, went to atheism, came out of that, and now I'm like, there's so much greater things than just how short is your hair, whether you wear earrings, whether you have a beard or not. There's so many things, and God is so much bigger. God is so much bigger than what we even know, and that's proof of it.
Yes.
In my mind, right there.
Oh, 100%. You know, people in the religious world, they kind of poo-poo what I call spiritualism, right? They want to attribute it all to evil, to the devil. You know, mediums and psychics, and how do you know that? Well, God didn't tell you that, so it must be the devil. They put this really broad space between, and they try to separate God from these gifts. And I like to think that now I'm way more spiritual than religious, but I have, definitely not religious in any facet of the word anymore. But I actually consider myself more spiritual now than I was when, I spoke in tongues and ran the aisles. Because I'm seeing a much broader view of things. Definitely not, I could learn so much more. But I'm looking at it from, oh my God, how did I know that? Well, God show that to me? Is it a spiritual thing? Like, did he tell me, God's gonna, give you great blessings? Like the things we used to hear, prophecy and stuff like this. No, he showed me somebody's past life. Why? Well, because obviously that's important to that person's journey. There's something that God wanted to impart to them. I always kind of use God and the universe interchangeably because I am a huge proponent of God is manifest in the universe and vice versa. So our church is going to the woods. We love to hike, especially up here in the Northwest. It's magical. And I have never felt closer to God than I have been in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by towering trees and moss and waterfalls, and it's just green, and you can see the trees breathing. You can smell the freshness, and it's that is God. That is God, not in a church built by man with only these tenets. This is the only way you can feel God. This is the only way you can know God. So I think I agree with you. It's a much broader view of just stepping back out of that box and going, holy crap, God is in charge of all of this. And all of this is of God. None of this is of the devil. That's why when I first had that first experience with the medium, I was a little bit shocked, honestly. I think we both were. We were both in shock. Like, wait a minute. We actually feel joy. We feel peace. Are we supposed to feel this way? I don't think we're supposed to feel this way, but we do. It was such a cool experience to go, wow, what just happened? There's so much more to God.
I know I've said it in the podcast, but I literally believe that I had more of a conversion than I ever did before.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. I'm going to be honest with you. following the steps of salvation as they're laid out is super easy, right? It's super easy.
Yep.
But following this journey of spiritualism is a lot more complicated, and in the fact that you are literally having to set aside your human thinking and your human mind to open yourself up, because the human mind would tell you, well, this is not possible. How can you be seeing that? You can't be knowing that. And you have to set that aside and go, wait a minute, this is something that's so much deeper. This is my spiritual being. It's much easier to do the whole religious thing, honestly.
Well, there's no thought to it, really.
There's no thought, no struggle.
It's just do. Just do whatever the pastor says, and you're good to go. And
yeah, I used to tell Trace, like,
no, it's all right. Sorry. I mean, it's so easy. It's so easy to let your hair grow long or cut it short, or that's simple. Jibber jabber. It
would have been easier for us to stay in church, honestly, because then we wouldn't have had to go through all of the abandonment we had to go through, and all of the shame that they try to put on you, and all of the fear that you have to, unwind. Like, it would have been easier just to stay in church, honestly, and just keep doing what we were doing, and living our little
just
Pentecostal
be blind
life.
and ignorant to everything. So much easier.
Yeah, it was a hell of a lot harder leaving.
I don't know if I've said it on the podcast. I know I've told Adam, but my wife and I, when we first left the UPC, we equated it to the difference between having your meal provided to you and having to get out and hunt. And that's kind of the way I look at it now. There's no longer this drive-through fast food restaurant. Now I've got to actually go out and kill the cow, cut the cow up, figure out if I can eat it or can't eat it. And it is what it is. Ram Dass, my wife has gotten to where she watches Ram Dass, listens to him, and she says, you will be provided with that you need at the moment that you need it. And I think that's what you do, is probably you provide those things to people that they need when they need it, to become that next version of whatever we are here in this life.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. I feel like to share this with you, and I don't know why. So there was this really cool experience, and I've never told anyone else about it. So I guess now whoever listens to your watches your podcast is supposed to know. But I've always been drawn, since this journey, anyways, to trees, and Adam knows this. I feel like they're just they're a living being, and they have lived many lives. They've come and gone many lives, and they've seen more history than any human living right now has ever seen, honestly. And we were on the coast of Oregon, which is one of the most magical places in the world. If you ever get the chance to go, you got to go. And our favorite trail, it's actually ironically named the Amanda Trail. And I didn't name it. But it's through this magical rainforest on the Oregon coast. And you follow this trail to the very end along this gorgeous creek, and there's one of the oldest trees in the U.S. is standing there. And it's definitely, you have to know you're going there on purpose. And it was a holy site for not even Native Americans, but the ones who came before, their ancestors. And so this was like our second or third visit to this tree. And we were definitely still in that awakening period, trying to figure out, what does all this mean? Why are we being shown this? Learning how to, again, temper it with wisdom. And so Trace started getting this thing where he would go up to trees. We call him Trace the Tree Hugger now. He's got a little nickname, but he'll go up the trees and he'll put his hands on the trees and he'll close his eyes and he'll just meditate in time with the tree. And so he was standing at this tree and he was doing this. And more than anything, it's calming down, right? You're taking the energy from the tree, which is, I've never been around a forest where it's chaotic. A forest is always very calming and quiet. And even though there's life all around you, animals and bugs and trees and plants and water, it's just, the chaos is a quiet chaos. It's beautiful chaos. It's so peaceful. And so he's sitting there like this on this tree, and this tree is huge, y'all. I'm telling you, it's a magnificent tree. And there's a little bench there. So I'm sitting over on the bench just kind of just breathing it in. And all of a sudden he goes, oh, did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see that? And I thought I was going crazy because I had seen it, and I was not going to say a word to him about it. But he's seen it and felt it because his hands are on the tree. The tree literally took a breath in and out. Literally, like this. I literally saw this humongous tree move with a breath. Breathe in, breathe out. And I said, it's the tree, breathe. And we were both just like, trying not to freak out, but also like, did we really just see this? Did we really just feel this? And we knew in that moment, we're like, okay, we're in a very special place. This is a very special experience that maybe very, very few people have got to experience. But for whatever reason, whoever came before probably had that same experience here, and that's why this was considered a sacred site. It wasn't because the tree was old. It wasn't because the tree was big. Because let's face it, it was in a massive forest of sequoias and that were just, huge. But whomever at some point had that experience there in the past said, oh, wait a minute, this is sacred. This is holy. This is something special. And I really feel like it was just a window. We were so blessed to have just this little window of insight and experience, and got to see something that I don't think a whole lot of people got to see and experience. And it was just an opening up. It was like a flower that had been, closed and slowly opening up and going, oh, wait a minute. And going back to your point a while ago, this is bigger than us. This is bigger. This is a God thing. Only God could do that. Only God could literally make a tree breathe in and out and then allow us to see it and feel it. So I guess I said all that to say that as you're in this journey of spiritualism, you're going to have those moments where you almost feel like they're otherworldly. You can't explain them. You can't quantify them in this lifetime and this experience that you're having now. But it is something that's so much bigger and so much more beautiful. But you have to be willing to say, you know what, I'm not going crazy. I'm not, a kook, a true tree hugger in Oregon. I was just blessed enough to just have this moment of pure, true, pure. I don't even know how to put a word on it, honestly. It's magical. It's just magical. And so ever since then, we search out those special moments, those trees especially, for whatever reason. They're like sentinels, I think. I think they're like sentinels to the earth. So I don't know why I felt led to share that, but I did.
That's awesome.
So what is your, do you have an opinion or advice on meditation?
Yeah, so meditation was a huge part of my early journey. I'll be honest with you, I don't find myself meditating as much now as I used to. That's not to say I don't have those quiet moments and quiet times. I think meditation is about many things. One of them, in this busy world, is just quieting yourself. We never allow ourselves quiet time. As you all know, if it's not the TV, it's the radio. If it's not the radio, it's a podcast. If it's not a podcast, no shade to your podcast. Then it's traffic. Like, there's kids. There's never a time where you just say, I need quiet. I need silence. And so your brain and your heart, your soul never gets to shut off. You never turn it off. So I think meditation's about that in a big way. But then I also think it's much about connecting to that deeper self. And as I went on my journey, again, it was a really big part of my early journey, but it's almost like where I am now, and I'm not poo-pooing it at all, because I know it's a very important practice for many people throughout their whole journey. But for whatever reason, my journey has followed a little bit of a different path in the meditation side of things, where I'll just get a little, almost like an unction, to use the term we used to hear preached all the time. Unction of the Holy Ghost. I'll just get a little unction of like, okay, you need to be quiet for a minute. You need to settle down. You need to seek a place. And so I do, and that's when a lot of great things has happened to me, and I've been able to be a part of something beautiful. But I think it's an incredible practice for many reasons. I mean, as you know, it also has true physical health benefits as well, you know, on a very practical side of things. But it really allows you just to shut out the world and just be one with yourself and come down into your soul and realize, okay, there's something deeper in me that I need to tap into. And I think it's a beautiful practice, but my journey's kind of taken a little, and not to say I won't come back to that full time at some point, but right now I'm just in this little, you know, taking this little trail off of the main road, I think.
Awesome.
And it's funny that you mentioned that, because I'm very similar. I meditated for a long time, or for a while there, and now it's gotten to where it's not the forefront of my mind, for no reason. I just don't feel the unction, the calling to it. Some of that has to do with I probably worried about it being a rule, a legalistic rule, as opposed to my just stopping and needing to do it when I need to do it. But yeah, I kind of get you on that. It's kind of I do other things that I feel kind of meditative in my own way. That's not just me with my fingers and, you know, set in a certain way and closing my eyes and emptying my brain. It's kind of empty anyway. But no, I get that. That's a great thing. I've gotten to where I don't put a whole lot of I won't say effort. Effort's not the right word. The word is
a lot of emphasis, maybe, on it. I put a lot of
emphasis on it. Probably because I'm afraid to turn it into something that it's to mutate it into something that's corrupted, as opposed.
Yeah, and it's too regimented.
And then I also don't want to judge you because you're not doing it. Right, I never want to get into that position that I'm like, well, Adam does it all the time, so he's probably faking it most of the time, which may be true. but I'm not going to judge him for it, sinner. You know. Anyway, that's just to say, I you know, that makes a lot of that sets well with me. That speaks to my spirit to go back to the old school.
Good.
You know.
Yeah, right. It's funny how we still drop these terms into our conversation, isn't it?
How we try to explain our current lives and our current beliefs in the language of the UPC, and it bothers me sometimes because people don't understand that language. You understand it. I could say, you know, speaking in tongues with the evidence of and all this stuff, and you're going to understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But some people are like, what are those guys talking about? You know. Yeah.
Like, what the hell? Yeah.
It's part of the grooming. We learn these words because we were grilled these words. We were trained to use them or else.
It sets you aside, right? I mean, that's what we're taught. Come out from among them and be you separate. So in order to do that, we change our language where you can't speak our language unless you become one of us. And then it's a us-them thing, as opposed to let's just follow God 100%. In the best way that we know how to do so.
Yeah. Well, right. In order to control anybody, any part of society, you have to group them, right? It's much easier to control a herd of cattle if they're in a pen versus if they're spread over 1,000 acres.
The characteristics of a cult are have a dress code, have a common language or jargon, have a holy book.
Yeah.
And within our holy book was not just scripture, it was the manual.
Oh, 100%.
And then to
it's kind of like
reinforce that was fear and mind control. That if we didn't apply the characteristics, then we were punished. So that's to explain why we say and use the words that we do. It was drilled in.
And you're so taught not to question that you don't even look for another way. You don't even look for another way of saying words or thinking things. you literally have to relearn how to talk. Yes. Honestly, like I can cuss like a sailor girl. I'm almost 100% Irish, and I can drink,
That's what we're known
and I can cuss.
Yeah. We've actually broke our record for non-cussing.
So
yeah, we have not cussed in this episode at all. I don't think. And I think I was a little bit worried because I can make up words that people are like, that's really bad, and
Yeah.
This week I made
I
thought of something this week, and I thought we should all three say the word fuck out of memory of where we came from.
What?
So on the count of three, we'll say it, okay? 1, 2, 3, fuck.
Fuck.
Yeah, I done drank like 4 of these already, so you know.
Oh. Oh God, yes. I know. There's nothing like being able just to curse and just let that stress out. Oh my God, it's so amazing.
It opens up the throat chakra.
Yeah. I've had people ask me why I cuss so much. And I'm like, well, because I didn't cuss the first 35 years. I'm trying to catch up on that, too. I'm trying to catch up on everybody. Everybody else has said all they need to say. It's not fair. It's not fair. I need to catch up.
Like I'm a cursing virgin, y'all. Like I need to be able to.
Oh my goodness, I love it. Within the what I call Pentecostalism light, or UPC light, right, is we were told what to say, how to think. Within the evangelical movement, I've noticed that instead of you've got to watch what you say and you watch what you do, the trigger words now are, what are you listening to? Who are you listening to? What are you reading? Who are you reading? So if we can determine who you're listening to and who you're reading, then we can control on the light level, right? We can control what you're doing and how you're doing it. And it's no longer dress code, right? Yeah. We don't care about your dress code. You can wear and be what you want, but who are you listening to and who are you reading? So I do have a question here, Amanda. Are you reading anything?
I was actually going to ask that same question.
Because we want to control what you're doing.
I was going to ask it before he did, just so you know. It was on my, it's on my phone. So, just so you know, I was first on this deal.
Okay. I can see there's no competition between Oh, that's so great. No, to answer your question, I'm not reading anything currently. I have this weird thing where I don't read much anymore. I grew up reading because, of course, that's about the only, damn entertainment we were allowed.
That's the only way we could watch movies if they had a book connected to it.
It really was. That's right. So, no, I'm not. But I do enjoy listening to different podcasts about spiritualism, and some of it I go, yeah, okay. And then other pieces of it I've realized that, there are some good things that I can take away from it and add to my life or, my journey. But yeah, no, I'm honestly not. I mean, you can see my bookshelf here. These are mostly Janet Ivanovich. I don't know if you've ever read her before, but it's all fiction and it's just very fun. And there's lots of F-bombs in them, though.
Well, there we go. F-bombs. F-bombs.
Yeah, but they're not deep at all. Not deep at all. But no, I don't. And I probably should do better at that. But no, I'm not reading anything. What about you guys? Are you reading anything important or exciting?
No. I read fiction. I've got a few on my list to do. I'm still reading that one. It's I can't remember the name of it, but basically it's the story of Eden that's found in the Sumerian tablets. I'm still going through that. That's a really cool thing to see.
Cool concept.
To see how some of the biblical stories are written word for word from tablets that were thousands of years before we're supposed to even have existed. That sort of thing. But I read a lot of just fiction just because it's just light and I don't have to. Usually I do my reading at night before I go to bed. And if I read some of this stuff before I go to bed, I don't go to bed. I can't sleep at night.
Right.
But that's really all I've been reading. It's just fiction stuff, no specific author, just whatever pops up.
Yeah.
I'm only reading 2 books. One is
2 books.
Simultaneously.
He has to brag, you know.
It's a trauma response.
Yeah.
The book I'm reading is The Complete Works of Witchcraft, the Witchcraft Workbook by Raymond Buckland. Basically, it's said that any witch that is a witch will have the blue book on their bookshelf. So I'm reading that one. And then there's a second book that I found, which is Christian Wicca. So,
okay. That should be cool.
Yeah.
I did some witchy shit at New Year's. I don't know if I told you.
No, what did you do? You sacrificed a kitten, didn't you?
The neighbor's kitten. It was the neighbor's kitten. Just saying it.
Kept crapping in your yard, so you had enough.
I sacrificed it from a distance. No.
Some Darth Vader shit.
Exactly. Don't tell nobody that. Don't tell nobody. I get fired for that shit. No, me and Celeste actually, we went and bought a white candle. Evidently that means something. I didn't know this. And then we wrote down some of the things that had happened over the last year that were not great. And we dropped it in some water, let it dissolve, and that dissolved that bad karma, whatever you want to call it. And then we wrote down the things that we want to see happen this year in the future, kind of like your resolutions type thing. And then you burn it. I burnt mine and gave it to the universe so that it became out of my hands and went to that greater person or greater thing than I am.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
People kind of poo-poo that symbolism, but there's something to it. My AirPod keeps falling out. Sorry. There is something to that. I mean, if you look at even Native Americans, so much of what they did, we consider it symbolism, right? But there was a reason for it. There's a reason they did it. There was something there. There's something real about it. So, no, there's so much power in that.
So, we did that at midnight on the changeover. That's awesome. I actually stayed up to midnight. The 8 o'clock guy.
That's because he's old.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty. So I may be old, but I'm pretty.
So it's worth it. Exactly. Is that what you're saying? So it's worth it.
It's worth it. Age wine.
Yeah.
Age wine. Yeah. Runt wine over there.
Runt.
You got to do the solid R.
That's that redneck coming out.
Yeah. Put that T at the end of it.
Well, Amanda, thank you so much for spending time with us on this conversation.
You're so welcome.
We should do this again.
It was a blast. I agree. I loved it.
I'm
sorry if I talked too much.
I actually wanted to say that I think you should do your own podcast. You got the voice for it. Thank you. I think you could do it. We encourage people to do so, and I think you should. And if you decide to do so and you need some assistance or help or suggestions, reach out. I'll help.
Oh, well, thank you. I actually mentioned this to Adam last year, didn't I, Adam? Yeah, that I had thought about it.
It doesn't cost very much to get it started. And so if you decide you want to do it, let me know.
That's awesome.
Well, thank you. I really might do that. I don't know what I could offer. But
look at us.
We'll say anything. We'll say anything with this.
Drink and cuss. That's all you gotta
do. Hey, that's a fucking good time right there.
Fuck anybody that believes differently.
And if we lose content, there's always the UPC.
Yeah. Just make fun of people.
Oh God, that's the truth.